I wish I could give you more optimism. I'll tell you this for optimism. I'll give you this for hope. It wasn't just pain that my grandfather gave to me, but it was love. So my grandfather, while he was a pretty tough guy, and he's a pretty violent guy, also taught me the biggest teachings about love, because he when I was born, he stopped drinking. He turned into the most loving, kind, giving guy I ever met in my life. And he made the rest of the family better. People started to like being around him. And people, I was so lucky enough that I got to be cared for by him. And really, when I say cared for, I actually cared for him, because he was quite disabled by that point. And he was deaf in both ears, and so he couldn't talk. But I would spend days and days and days with my grandfather. Not enough days when I think back now, but just spending time with him. And I got the gift of him. And he did that not because of the trauma and the violence that he experienced and the violence that he brought home. Because if he had drank himself to death, nobody would have blamed him. Everyone would have went, yeah, that's a sad story. Oh well, too bad. And how many of you guys know somebody like that? You know, somebody who's mired in trauma right now, right? When somebody experiences a trauma, it's like they have to get out of it themselves. You can't do it for them. So with my grandfather, it was the same thing. But when I was born, my grandfather stopped drinking. And he did that not because he wanted to, because my dad told him he had to. And so I'm sure that was hard. And maybe he drank, maybe he wasn't around me, I don't know. But he was never violent. He was always kind, and he was very generous. He was very loving. And as a result, that's all I know. All I know about him is love. And that's just one story. Like, so my grandfather picked me instead of the trauma. And nobody would have blamed him for the trauma. Like, everybody would have went, I get it. I appreciate your experience. And if he went all the way to the grave being that way, people would have went, that guy had a hard life, man. He saw all of his buddies killed in the war, and he suffered all that physical, sexual abuse in residential school. But the most amazing thing to me is that's not my grandfather's story to me at all. What my grandfather's story is that he bravely and courageously chose a little boy, and I was alone, like all of my cousins. He chose to only show us love, like total, absolute love. And that's amazing. That for me is proof that residential schools failed miserably, because they can't get rid of that.